garbage and trash that's just all over the place. To give you an idea where I am, I mean, there's Oxo right there. Okay.
Pero somos bien cochinos en nuestro país.
Exacto.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric, and I'm coming to you today from Mérida, Yucatan, which is where I live. I've been here for 4 years, on and off. I'm recording this today because I've noticed on YouTube that it's become quite popular place among expats, and of course, some come and stay, and some, come and they don't like it, and they leave. I wanted to break down just briefly what I think are the pros and cons of coming to Mérida and why I'm actually going to be leaving after being here for 4 years. The first thing that you hear about a lot when people talk about Mérida is how safe it is. And I would have to agree that it is safe in terms of violence. I've never once felt physically threatened here, but there's more to safety than just violence. And of course, that's the most important, right? Most people are mostly concerned with whether or not they're going to be killed or not, right? Or raped or anything horrible like that, anything physical. But nothing like that. I've never felt that here. With that being said, however, this is not Japan. Your stuff will get stolen. And on Thanksgiving Day, November 23rd, 2023, just a little while ago, my bicycle was stolen from the gated community that I live in. And I live in the north of Mérida, which most people consider it to be one of the nicer areas to live, and it is, for the most part. But even that has a little bit of downsides to it, and I'll explain what I mean by that. A lot of the growth in Mérida is happening outside the Periférico, which is like around a loop, which is like the loop like they have in Atlanta, for example. And that's where a lot of the growth is coming in new construction. But a lot of people don't want to live outside the Periférico, so they prefer the north, which is where I live. And for those of you in Mérida, I live in the San Angelo, Montes de Amé area. I drive my motorcycle around here a lot, and I was just curious how much they were charging for certain apartments right across from the Super Aquí. And I just looked it up, and one of them is 52,000 pesos a month, plus a $10,000 peso maintenance fee. Okay, I did the math with the current exchange rate of $1 to 17.41 pesos, I think it was. It was over $3,300 a month to rent there. Now, granted, this place is huge. I think it was like 300 something square meters, so it was really big. But even a less expensive one, I looked at, it was less expensive, but also it was, smaller in size. It still came out, really pretty expensive. And I'm thinking to myself, why would somebody really I wouldn't say necessarily give up their lives, but kind of pack it all up to go someplace and either A, live in a neighborhood that you don't want to be in just because it's cheaper, or B, basically pay the same or even more than you're paying in the United States. To me, that makes no sense at all. You can see some of the garbage and trash that's just all over the place. To give you an idea where I am, I mean, there's Oxo right there. Okay. There it is. Most expensive rental prices you can find are right around the corner in San Angelo. You can just see this, completely unkempt. See those buildings over there? Hopefully you can see it. Tilt back a little bit. Those buildings are the ones I was talking about that go for 52,000 pesos a month, plus a 10,000 peso maintenance fee. There's some for 48, some for 43, but it's not cheap. So if you live in an area like that, you would think, at the very least, the area where you live wouldn't be littered with garbage. And so I'm just gonna take a little walk around here and show you guys what I mean. And don't get me wrong, I really like Mérida, but if it wasn't for the weather, I would stay here for a long time. And I'm not sure how much longer I'll stay because right now it's actually not that bad because it's December. But I mentioned it, in the video that you don't really realize how important weather is until you get older. You know what I'm saying? Like young people, they don't care about weather really. They can handle whatever. Look at the bache. Wow, that's a beautiful looking tree. I don't know a lot about trees. I've heard it bougainvillea or however you say it, but I don't know if that's that. I think that one's more purplish. For any of you flower experts, let me know what that is. That's beautiful. Maybe it is bougainvillea. Beautiful. Not so beautiful. Look at this. I mean, seriously.
Pero hay que aceptar que Estados Unidos, güey, está más perro que México, güey.
Sí.
Y en cuanto a la limpieza, en cuanto a todo eso, se lo troza Estados Unidos por mucho, güey.
Pero qué cagado, güey, que disfrutamos mucho la limpieza, pero somos bien cochinos en nuestro país.
Exacto.
And this is northern Merida. I know I've said it before, I'm pretty sure in parts of the video, but this is San Angelo, okay? This is considered the nice part of Merida to live. Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas. The guy was looking at me like, who the hell are you? What the hell are you doing? Whatever. Anyway, it was a beautiful house. Did I even get to show you guys? Look at that. I mean, you can't, it's beautiful. It's also peaceful. That's something I really kind of like about Merida, for the most part. I mean, you're gonna get your crazy, fiestas that go till late in the morning, which sometimes bother me. But at least where I live, it doesn't happen that often. It does happen occasionally. But generally speaking, it's not a huge city where you're gonna get tons of city noise and stuff like that. Estimated population is around 1 million, give or take. And I think it is growing. I'm not sure how much it's growing because I do know a lot of people, like myself, they come here and just want to let that car go by. They come here and they realize they can't handle the weather. And see, this is why you gotta be careful. I mean, I walk all around here, but this is actually the route I take when I walk. I actually go down the street when I, do it for exercise. But anyway, yeah, you gotta kind of understand that some people can't deal with the heat and humidity, and I just don't like it. I mean, I have a feeling if Merida was a different climate, like a Querétaro, I would probably stay. I would probably stay because it is safe. Although, like I mentioned, my bike got stolen, but it doesn't really bother me. I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of Merida. That's just life in general, Mexico in general. And so, yeah, I'm not too upset at that. I'm gonna be coming up to some pretty nasty stuff, in my opinion. And it's stuff that I think you'd expect if it was in like a bad neighborhood or something like that. But like I said, this is not. This is the, it's considered one of the best places to live. And it begins right here. This motorcycle go by. Look at it, that's so cool. You see like women driving motorcycles. I love that. But look at this here. See all this garbage? I recorded this before for my motorcycle, but it didn't come out so well. So I figured I'd record it again. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to complain like, oh, the typical American complaining. No, I'm not. But I don't think anyone likes garbage, do they? I mean, really?
Está bien feo, güey.
Está bien culero, güey.
Y llegas a tu país y te comes un chicle y avienta la bolsa. ¿Qué pedo con
Güey,
eso?
me acuerdo la primera
A
vez.
mí, güey, no hay cosa que me dé más coraje, güey, cuando la raza, güey. Ah, hijo de
Tira
su
los
puta.
chicles.
No, que va en el carro
Y que
o en el
avienta-
camión.
avienta la basura.
Y avienta cosas
Sí,
por la ventana, güey.
Tazarra.
Is it attractive? And it gets worse as we go forward. Okay, this right here was completely overgrown. They finally cut it down, but it was so overgrown to the fact that you couldn't even see, so it was dangerous. At the intersections, you got to be careful with the intersections here. On these small, like, back roads, not everybody pays attention to the stop sign, so you got to keep that in mind. Here we go. Okay, this is interesting. Kind of funny. This sandal right here, that thing has been here, I'm not kidding, for at least 6 months. Nobody ever picks it up. And I always walk past it, so I think it's kind of funny. But the only reason I'm showing you the bad stuff is because, you know, most people just want to show you Montejo, which is, you know, it's one of the most beautiful avenues in the world. Mérida is beautiful, but I mean, it's got its ugly sides, just like almost every place. Look at these houses. These houses are nice. You know, they're expensive, trust me. Here we go, look at this. I hope the camera's actually catching this. But there's the places that go for $52,000. If you can see that black building, that's called San Angelo 08 or San Angelo 8, whatever. And this is what's right behind it. And look at this, alcohol bottles, beer bottles, Coke. This is disgusting. That's just the reality of it. Now look where we are. Okay? There's the buildings straight ahead. I mean, this stuff here, this doesn't bother me. I mean, this gets picked up, you know, this little stuff. But man, that other street that I showed you, it's nasty. And when I was actually driving a motorcycle, I went to a Dia de Muertos, like little party or festival that they had. And people in the bus, that were in the bus, were throwing things out the window, like trash. I mean, I saw it. And I guess that's just the culture of the, I hate to say it, but the cholos or whatever you, I don't know what you call them in Mexico exactly. But
O sea, es un cambio en cada uno de nosotros, güey. Ojalá que la raza que esté viendo este podcast, porque llegamos a mucha gente, afortunadamente, güey. Güey, el cambio está en uno, güey. Hazlo tú, güey, que te valga ver el vecino, güey.
Es cierto,
Tú, güey.
es que ese es el detalle de la raza,
Es que
güey.
la gente dice,
Ah,
¿para
si
qué
el
lo
otro-
hago yo? Si todo lo demás no. Y vale ver, pues.
Sí, sí, es un círculo vicioso, pues.
Güey, es algo bien fácil, güey. Así como tú dices, ¿por qué si llegas a otro país te cambia el chip? ¿Y por qué si estás en tu país no te levantas con ese chip de, hey, no está mal, no lo voy a tirar?
look at this. Here we are again, not too far. But there was a mattress here previously, and we finally took it away. And so that's that. I mean, just wanted to kind of show you. I wouldn't think you're getting that. I mean, I would never live there. I'd get my own house or a different gated community or something like that. But people live here. You can see the cars that are pulling out. You can see how beautiful the greenery is. You know, for 10,000 pesos a month, they should have green grass. Nice little birdies. So this is the area. This is the area, San Angelo. La policía. It's funny that in Mexico, I don't know if you know this, they drive with their lights on. Look at these cars going by. These are all nice cars. In Mexico, the police drive with their lights on. Unlike the US. where the US, they only put them on when it's, they're chasing somebody or it's an emergency. Here, they just constantly drive them on. No matter what I do, I can't get this thing far enough away from me. I hate when it's like right up in my face, showing all my wrinkles in my face at my old age, but such is life, baby. Roll with it. Roll with it. It's so funny. Here, everybody stares at you like if you have a camera. And of course, you got to be careful, man. But it's, it's not Mexico City, thank God. Don't get me wrong, I love Mexico City, but I wouldn't be just whipping out my camera like this unless it was like Condesa or Roma Norte. So this thing would be snatched out of my hand. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'd put up a fight and we'll see if they'll take it from my hands. My dead, cold-blooded hands. What's that expression? Merida is a great place if you can stand the heat and humidity. That's my overall opinion. And you don't mind that it's completely flat and there's no mountains or hills or anything. If that's your cup of tea, this is a great place. Even though my bike was stolen, whatever. It could be stolen anywhere. I don't really care. I mean, I care, but I'm over it. Gotta get over it. Okay, so just heading home now. Looks like they're unloading some garrafones de agua para el Oxxo, que está aquí. El famoso Oxxo, que me encanta. And that's that. If we're being honest with ourselves, most people that are successful, financially speaking, in the United States do not move. They might visit, they might have a second home in Mexico, but they don't expatriate. They don't pack up all their things and leave. That's the reality. That's the truth. And we are all here. I actually wrote a blog post. Expats are all escaping something. And that's true. I mean, it could be something terrible like maybe a death in the family or a traumatic event, a divorce, job loss. Or it could be just that you're in your older years and you're getting Social Security and it just doesn't cut it. It's not enough to pay for your bills. But that's honestly the reality. And I'm not going to get into my story right now. I just know that I know the guy from I'm sure maybe a lot of you guys have seen him. The guy from Nomad Capitalist. And I'll never forget. He actually mentioned one time. He said that Joe Rogan should move overseas or something like that. And just to save taxes. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. And it's nothing against him. He's a smart guy, smart kid, a lot younger than me. People like Joe Rogan or people that are famous and in the United States, they're not going to pack up all their things and move to Mexico. That's just the way it is. So generally speaking, are there exceptions? Maybe. I don't know of any. But generally speaking, people that come here are financially strapped one way or another. Maybe they come here and they get either a remote job or they start something. But I mean, I would say 90% of the people that come here, they do so because it's less expensive. And that's just being honest. I'll probably get into this more because it's a sore topic, but it was basically divorce, and I wasn't good up here. And I lived in this big house all by myself with 2 acres of land in South Florida, and I just couldn't stand it. I felt like I was kind of losing it. And I had already, lived in Latin America before. My daughter was born in Ecuador. I lived in Ecuador for a long time. I mean, this is a long time ago. And I spoke the language, so I said, you know what, now's a good time to go. And, here I am. But for now, the biggest thing to me is the weather. And it's something that a lot of people don't think about when they're young. In fact, I'm from New England originally. And so, I grew up in the cold, the cold freezing winters up there. And even then, I remember like running around with a t-shirt. Weather isn't important, I don't think, really, to younger people. But I don't know at what age. You hit a certain age and you're suddenly, weather becomes important. And I never really realized how important heat and humidity is. And so the heat and humidity in Merida is absolutely the worst I've ever felt anywhere. And I've been to a lot of countries, a lot of places. It's comparable maybe to Guayaquil, Ecuador, in terms of humidity, and Cartagena perhaps as well. But you know, those are two places I really wouldn't want to live. Certain parts of Ecuador, yes, I would, like Quito, maybe Cuenca, but Ecuador is very dangerous right now. But I digress. So yeah, the heat and humidity here is absolutely real. If you're not, even if you're from the north and you're just like, I can't stand the cold, that's fine, but trust me, after a while, you might, you know, the first couple days here, the first week, you might love it just because it's not freezing cold, but it'll get on you. It'll get on your nerves after a while. It is always hot and humid. I am sweating like crazy. And this is December, man. This is December 2nd. I walk twice a week through the streets of northern Merida, and when I get back, I am completely soaked head to toe. It's about an hour. It takes me about an hour, and I do like, you know, fast walking or whatever. If you don't like heat and humidity, you will absolutely hate Merida. I mean, that's it. You'll hate it. I did spend some time in Querétaro, and I like that place a lot just because it's got a different climate. It's got sort of like that southwest type of climate, a little bit desert-like, and it's a little bit higher up. Doesn't have the nicest, you know, greenery because of the desert look. So it's got kind of like those shrubs and stuff. Something like you might see in El Paso, Texas, or something like that. You're trading one thing for another, in my opinion. When I was there for almost a month. I stayed in a hotel and I walked, like I said, twice a week, and then the other times I went to the gym. But you know, you actually see people walking and you see people doing exercise. And in Yucatan, you don't see anyone doing exercise. And at least I don't. And I'm out at least, like I said, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I walk all around the city up in the north, and I never see anybody exercising. It's just not in their culture. Are there people? Of course there are people that work out and stuff, but I mean, it's not very common here. You see a lot of obesity as well, and that's unfortunate. You see a lot of people buying, you know, 2-liter bottles of regular Coke, you know, and it says right on the label, you know, excess sugar. I would say if heat and humidity doesn't bother you and you're concerned about safety, then yeah, I think Merida would be a great place for someone to come and live. It's flat as a pancake, okay? It's just like Florida. The highest point is Muna, which is just a few feet above sea level. There's no hills or anything like that. But if you're okay with that and you like the kind of jungle climate, then Merida would be fine. In my opinion, there's no real nightlife. I don't go out, like party or whatever. But if you do, I think you might be very disappointed. If you want to go to like a party place, I think maybe, you know, you need to go to a bigger city. Maybe Mexico City, Guadalajara, or whatever, something like that. Merida is not as cheap as a lot of people, you know, say it is. And the reason I say that is because of the heat and humidity. And of course, everyone's different. Some people don't care, right? Some people are fine with it, especially the locals. I mean, they don't even like use air conditioning stuff. This place is, I don't know how people live without it. The last month, my bill was 7,500 pesos, and that's for 2 months. They used to bill people monthly. Now they bill people every 2 months. So it came out to like $430. So it's like $215 a month. And I mean, that's if you use air conditioning like I do. Maybe you won't use it as much. But I'm just giving you an idea. You know, the electric bills, they're not cheap, in my opinion. And so you go to a place like Querétaro or like Medellin or something like that in Colombia, for example, or Quito, you know, you don't really need air conditioning. You don't. So your electric should be a lot cheaper in any of those places. So think about that. Think about not just the cost of the rent and of course the groceries and everything else, which are pretty inexpensive. I remember when it was cheap. 4 years ago it was cheap. I mean, I would just flat out say cheap, but I wouldn't say it's cheap anymore. If you want to live a good quality lifestyle, it's not cheap. The weather sucks, for me. That's for me, that's my opinion. The weather's terrible. And the weather in Querétaro, or Mexico City for that matter, is way better. So consider that when you're moving, how important weather is to you. If it's not important, this is definitely a good place to be.